Hello, fellow islanders. This is Tacaris, and this is my Funcom Temple submission. And to help me present this is my best friend and clanmate, Dewey.
Hey everybody. So we started playing on a friend's private server, and we went to an official server on Exiles, and then SIPTA came along, and here we are now on 6442.
Yeah, and having a blast. You know, we've been here the longest, and it's had its ups and downs, but we're still here.
So here we're approaching the cathedral, and you get an idea of the size of this building. It's humongous.
Yeah, and as you can see, I titled it The Brides of Mitra. You know, Mitra is a very male-oriented deity, but I really wanted to play around with the idea of having the Brides of Mitra. So the religion here is ran by women, priestesses.
And I remember when you first started in this server, you actually were on the server before I was, and you said, come over and check out this canyon. I'm going to build something across it. And this canyon is humongous. It's a forest down at the bottom. And I was like, that sounds like a lot of work. And then you started with a platform where you had just a stable and some minor stuff. And then one day you got the idea for this cathedral, and it's been an amazing project.
Well, I'd say it was less of an idea and kind of more of angst or frustration. I really wanted to build something pretty massive. So I was looking at other people's builds on YouTube. And I love medieval architecture, especially Gothic medieval architecture. And every time someone would post a cathedral build, there was nothing traditional architecturally cathedraly about it. Traditional cathedrals, cathedraly, that's a word. They're cruciform. They have certain architectural design elements like flying buttresses and whatnot. And that's what made me decide to build this. Nothing else.
Mm-hmm. Okay, you gotta explain the elevator.
So yeah,
this is cool.
So yeah, this is an interpretation of a cathedral. You won't find this design element in any real-world cathedrals, but yeah, this is where the power of Mithra comes up through the center of the cathedral. So this would actually be like the heart of the cathedral, and this is where the priestesses would come and do some of their most holy rituals. They're in the blue, they're in the shining, the power of Mitra. And so yeah, that's why I put that there. And it has some cool views.
So at the very tip top, okay, we're coming back down now.
Yes.
And what I like about this building is that you've incorporated, which a lot of the stuff we're going to see is not just the nice grandeur of a massive cathedral, but the functional elements too. And
Yes.
Here we're about to see something special in this baptismal that you don't see every day.
No. And I found this out by accident, just playing around with stuff. And
we're in the bottom.
Yes, we're under the baptismal into Mitra's mug, because
how much better could it be? You get baptized and you come down for a drink.
Yes, and back in the day, before there was currency, a lot of monasteries, they traded beer or wine for what they needed.
There's an idea of the scope of the building. You just get a shot of the side there.
Yeah, right now we're close to 40 stories high.
So back up through the baptismal, and now we're back in the cathedral, the main part of the cathedral.
Yeah, and just a reminder for anybody watching, this is on an official server. So Dewey and I spent countless hours with a pick in our hands. And this started as Flotsam. So building it in Flotsam and then upgrading everything to the tier 3 that you see.
Yeah, it totally gives a whole new meaning to things when you have to build it on an official server where you can't fly through the air and you can only carry so much and you have to go mine it. It really does give it a certain value. It feels like you really earned it, so to speak.
True. And it also, I think, makes it more important that you don't just have a building you plop down somewhere. That, at least in my mind, the building has to fit the Conan mythos. Why is it here? Why am I building this here? Why am I building this 40 stories in trees? Well, it was for the safety of the followers of Mitra. And this is one of my most favorite views. Love being up on the roof. I have died up here multiple times because we're very high off the ground, but this is still my favorite place to be in the whole cathedral.
Yeah, I can't count how many times you told me you fell off the roof.
There was
Trying to
literally,
make this place.
back when this was built on pillar, there was one day I fell so many times, I just shut the game off. My corpses, I had over a dozen corpses littering the ground. So this is the one room that it's actually not part of any cathedral, because this is my room. This is where my avatar goes to take a break and unwind.
We don't tell the general population.
Yes.
So now we're going back over the entrance, the main entrance we saw at the beginning, and there's one of the bridges. That's the bridge we started on. You kind of get an idea of the size of the bridge.
Yeah, and I would just encourage anyone, if you want to take a closer look, just come to the server and L10 bottom center, and just normally all the doors are open. Some of them are just closed for the video shoot.
Official server 6442.
Yes. So one of the design elements, big time in Gothic architecture, are the flying buttresses, and these ones actually work. I would not be able to get the roof cap on top if it wasn't for the little bit of stability those things do provide.
That's kind of cool to me that the Unreal Engine actually mimics real life in a way.
Yeah.
So closely.
Yeah.
Okay, so now it gets even more cool. This is where you start to see all of that functional stuff we were talking about earlier, where it's not just a pretty picture. There's some rooms here that are not just for the grandeur, they're actual functional. They serve another purpose.
Yeah, because if you're going to have a temple or a cathedral, you have to have clergy that man it, that do the duties. Well, where do they live at? Where do they eat? Where do they sleep? What do they do in their off time? And I found a lot of submissions I've looked at in the past, they look cool, but they really lack that kind of a depth. So this is the private chapel, for priests and priestesses to get, specialized learning or whatever, and also for singing.
We're going to come back in there and see the throne. But first, the inner sanctuary.
Yeah, so this was a conscious choice on my part to keep the altar of Mitra kind of in its own holy place, only accessible to the priesthood. The glow goes up to the cathedral, but access to the deity himself is, a specialized, act of worship. And this place is ruled by a holy mother. I wanted to pattern this off of the Catholic Church in a way where they have a pope. Mitra on the Isle of Sipta has a holy mother. She's seen as, his main bride or whatever, but yeah.
So now the dungeon.
Yes, the monastery and the dungeon. Yeah. So in my mind, Mitra is very similar to the Inquisition, where you either convert or you die. But we can convert you through pain. So if we just, torture you long enough, you'll become a follower of Mitra.
So it's like a wheel of pain, but in a different sort of inside a building, really.
Yes.
It's converting people through pain and torture, and I think this really just gives this whole other element of backstory.
And since it's also part of the living quarters area of the monastery, it reminds lower level clergy what
you're one step
yes,
away from
exactly.
the
Yes. Yes.
So this is where the clergy live.
Yeah, the priestesses, the high priestess, the Holy Mother would live here because this is the Holy Mother's secret entrance back up to the cathedral level.
Uh-huh.
So there's definitely a hierarchy in this priestesshood.
Uh-huh. Always got to have your levels.
Yes. And then, of course, if you're going to have a jail, you have to have a jailer's office.
Uh-huh.
Everything has to be done in order.
And now we're down to the mid-level people.
Yes. So these would be, your secretaries, your cooks, your things of that nature.
Uh-huh.
But Yeah.
Yeah, these are all really functional rooms.
Yeah, I wanted to make them that way, you know, very, very austere and just functional.
And now we get to the Area 51 creepy part.
Yeah, so in my mind's eye, if you're gonna fight undead, you have to know how they operate. Well, the only way to know how they operate is you have to capture some of them and run some tests on them. You know, and it just so
So,
happens that the living quarters for the lower level clergy are right next to their jail cells.
so they hear all the screams.
Oh yes, yeah, yes, yes. So there's plenty of room in Mitra's cells.
So this is all for containment and experimentation purposes.
In conversion.
And conversion therapy, we'll call it.
Yes. So this comes back down to the realism that I'm trying to bring in with this cathedral. You know, think of a couple hundred people feeding them every day, what that would take in supplies. This probably doesn't really match that, but I try really hard to kind of bring some of that realism in there.
Yeah, and we're going to see some parts below, which we haven't even got to yet, that have even more supplies. Oh, in the kitchen. This is a wonderful little area.
Yeah, this was fun to build. I enjoyed building this. And I was just showing the entrance door where that was at there. So yeah, if you were a low-level clergy member, this is how you would get to the dining hall.
And then check this out. This dining hall is to me, it has a whole different warmth to it. It's got the same glass, but it's still got this wood look on the walls, which really makes it feel like a nice dining area.
And this would be for clergy only. Commoners wouldn't be here. I wanted
How many
this
times
to
did you
feel
put plates and bowls down only to have them disappear?
Too many times.
When you tried to move the table.
Yeah. So here's the stables, self-explanatory. And
now we're going to go out to the West Bridge.
And you really got to see this at nighttime. It is spectacular.
Yeah. So then you get an idea of the size of the bridge. And now we're going to go to one of the coolest areas, the catacombs, which this is a massive structure underneath this whole cathedral complex.
Yeah, meant for storing long-term supplies and even housing followers.
You can see the building is kind of built around the trees of the forest.
Yes. Yeah. And fully defensible.
And I thought it was a nice touch that you color-coded each level with different radium gem colors.
Yeah, it looked really great. But, yeah, we're running up on the end of this display. Hope you guys really enjoyed it. We enjoyed being here and playing around with it.
Yeah, we do. This is awesome.
Well, we'll catch y'all later.
Come on, see us. Come on by 6442. Say hi.